Have you ever jolted awake at midnight, grabbed your phone, and suddenly felt a cold shiver down your spine? Not because of a text from an ex, but because of the relentless stream of headlines. AI is replacing jobs. Crypto just hit an all-time high. This new trend is minting millionaires overnight. In that split second, your room doesn't feel small, but your time feels like it's running out. You look at your current work. It feels slow. It feels obsolete. A whisper in your head. Everyone is rushing toward the gold mine, and you are sitting still. You are missing the last train. That is FOMO, the terrifying feeling that the world is moving too fast and you are being left behind. 2,000 years ago, Marcus Aurelius didn't have an iPhone, but he dealt with people who constantly chased the crowd. He called them puppets pulled by strings. So, how do you cut those strings? Today, let me tell you a story about a squirrel and a strange wind, and perhaps you will find your answer there. In an ancient oak forest, where time seemed to move slower than the outside world, lived a squirrel named Pip. Pip wasn't the richest squirrel in the forest, but he was the soundest sleeper. His fortune was a hollow lined with dry moss and a stash of brown acorns, just enough for winter. Every morning, Pip sat on his favorite branch, holding an acorn tight, savoring the sound he loved most, the crisp snap as the shell broke open. In that moment, Pip was king of his tiny world. He had enough. He was happy, but that peace was as fragile as an eggshell. Late that afternoon, a strange wind blew through the forest, carrying the scent of dust and urgency. First came the crows, their caws tearing the sky apart. The western woods! The western woods! The giant golden acorns have fallen! Winter is coming, and those without gold will starve! Pip froze. The brown acorn in his hand suddenly felt insignificant. Starve? Pip wondered, glancing at his stash. But I worked all summer for this. Just as doubt began to creep in, a brown blur crashed down from the branch above. It was Barnaby, the neighbor known for being the most cautious, sensible squirrel around. But today, Barnaby looked like a madman. His eyes were bloodshot, his tail bristling. He carried absolutely nothing from his massive stockpile. "Barnaby!" Pip shouted over the wind. "Where are the flames? Why are you leaving your warm nest?" Barnaby skidded to a halt, looking back at Pip with a mix of pity and panic. "Nest! Pip, wake up! This tree is dead! This forest is over! In the West, one golden acorn is worth a lifetime of your brown nuts. The first to arrive lives like a king. The last to stay is garbage." The word garbage hit Pip like a physical blow. Pip's pride in his stash evaporated. Suddenly, he felt small, poor, and like a failure. Barnaby sprinted off, and instantly the ground began to shake violently. Thud, thud, thud. A massive wild boar thundered past, smashing through the thorny bushes, kicking up a blinding cloud of dust. It roared, "Move! Don't block the path to prosperity. The window is closing. Run or get trampled." That was the breaking point. The fear wasn't hunger. The fear was the boar's roar and Barnaby's disappearing back. A scream screamed in Pip's head. "They all know something you don't. Run! Don't be the last idiot left behind." Pip dropped his brown acorn, his uneaten lunch, into the dirt. He didn't close his door. He took no reserves. Pip threw himself into the chaotic stream, letting thorns tear his skin, his eyes locked on the dust ahead. chasing a promise of a new life. They ran until the sun died behind the mountains. Pip arrived with bleeding paws and an empty stomach. But there were no golden acorns. There was only a sheer, jagged cliff overlooking a valley of sharp rocks. Thousands of animals were shoving, screaming, and digging in desperation. The golden acorns the crows sang about were just dead yellow leaves reflecting the dying sunset, an optical illusion. The wild boar was ramming his head against the cliff in rage. Barnaby sat collapsed in the dirt, staring blankly into the void. Pip stood there, the wind biting through his fur. He missed his warm hollow desperately. He missed the simple snap of his brown acorn, but he was too far to return. He had traded his present for a strange wind. The story ends there, but Pip's pain lingers, and I bet you have felt that bone-deep chill before. Because Pip is you, Pip is me, Pip is all of us in this frantic era. Let's decode the symbols. Barnaby isn't just a squirrel. Barnaby represents your peers. He is the college friend who just posted about their new house on Facebook. He is the coworker showing off 10x crypto games. When Barnaby runs, you're not afraid of losing acorns. You're afraid of being the only idiot standing still while the world moves forward. Barnaby's insult, garbage, is the insecurity that eats at you every night. And the wild boar, that's the market, the economy, the algorithm. It is massive, loud, and ruthless. It creates false urgency. Last chance, bull market, AI revolution. The boar's roar convinces you that if you don't act right now, you will be trampled. And what is the Western woods? It's the illusion that happiness exists somewhere else, not here. We run ourselves into the ground, neglecting our health, our families, and our simple joys, the snap of the acorn, to chase a financial milestone, a job title, a moment of fame. And when we arrive, what do we usually find? Burnout, emptiness, and the realization that the golden acorn was just dead leaves reflecting the dying sunset. The problem isn't ambition. The problem is the fuel of that ambition. Pip didn't run because he wanted to go west. Pip ran because he was terrified of staying. When your fuel is fear, your destination will always be the cliff. So, how do you stand firm when Barnaby leaves and the boar charges? How do you hold on to your acorn in the middle of the storm? Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the chaotic Roman Empire, had a mental anchor he called the Inner Citadel. Let's see what he would teach Pip right now. If Marcus Aurelius stood on that cliff edge, he wouldn't scold Pip. He wouldn't mock his naivety. He would sit down next to him, hand him a brown acorn, and teach him 3 laws to ensure he never gets swept away by the storm again. Law 1. Cut the strings, the puppet master. Marcus wrote in his meditations, "Remember that what pulls the strings is the force hidden within. There lies the power of action. There lies life." When Barnaby shouted, "You're garbage," he pulled a string. When the wild boar roared, he pulled another string, and Pip, the poor puppet, danced to their rhythm. The Stoic fix. Freedom isn't doing whatever you want. Freedom is immunity to provocation. Next time a Barnaby flaunts their success, use Marcus's technique of decomposition. Strip away the shiny exterior. Don't look at the luxury car or the bank screenshot. Look at the price they paid, the anxiety, the sleepless nights, the fear of losing it all. Marcus says the cost of your peace is higher than any golden acorn. Ask yourself, am I willing to trade my peace for their panic. If the answer is no, cut the string. Law 2, the optical illusion, value judgment. Why did Pip drop his brown acorn? Because he believed a fatal lie. What is absent, the gold, is always better than what is present, the brown. Marcus Aurelius called this the madness of greed. He wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." The western woods had no gold. It only had dead leaves reflecting the dying sunset. In modern life, golden acorns are often carefully curated Instagram lives. We compare our messy behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel. It's a rigged game. The Stoic fix: reappraise your assets. The brown acorn in your hand is real. It nourishes you. It brings joy right now. The golden acorn is just a promise, and you cannot eat promises. Marcus advises, do not dream of possession of what you do not have. Rather, reflect on the greatest blessings in what you do have. Imagine if Pip broke his leg on the run. What would he desire most? Exactly the boring old hollow he just despised. Law 3, the Inner Citadel, building immunity. Finally, and most importantly, how do you stand still when the whole forest is running? Marcus introduces the concept of the Inner Citadel. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more troubled retreat than in his own soul. Dig within. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig. Pip looked for happiness outside, but the Stoic finds happiness inside. Your citadel is built on your own principles, not on market trends. If you define what is enough for you, a warm nest, a sufficient stash, the boar's roar becomes meaningless noise. The actionable shift: replace FOMO, fear of missing out, with JOMO, joy of missing out. Next time you skip a trend or don't join the frantic race, don't feel regret, feel victory. You have defeated distraction. You have defended your citadel. You are too busy enjoying the crisp snap of your own acorn to care about the noise. Pip returned, but it wasn't a journey of an afternoon. It was a journey of weeks. Winter had truly arrived. The forest was bare and freezing. Pip dragged his bleeding paws through the cold snow, his once sleek fur now matted and scarred. When he finally reached his old hollow, he frantically dug at the spot where he had dropped the brown acorn earlier that season. He dug until his claws bled, but there was nothing. Another crow had stolen it, or it had rotted under the wet leaves weeks ago. His stash inside the hollow had been raided by scavengers while he was gone. Pip collapsed in the white snow. He had lost everything. Not because he wasn't hard-working, but because he abandoned his post to chase a phantom. The price of the golden acorn wasn't just disappointment. The price was the time and the treasures he once held but failed to value. It took Pip 3 more days to find a tiny, shriveled nut hidden in a rock crevice. He held it with trembling hands. He held it with trembling hands. Snap. The sound wasn't crisp like before, but it was the sound of survival. Pip chewed slowly, tears freezing on his face. He realized a lesson etched into his soul. Happiness isn't having more. Happiness is having the chance to start over right where you left off. Don't let your life be like Pip's. realizing the value of the acorn only after it's gone. Marcus Aurelius left us a blueprint to build an inner citadel. Here is the 7-day Citadel Challenge to help you regain your ground. Day 1. The filter. Cut the strings. Open your social media. Find 3 accounts that constantly make you feel envious or inadequate, your Barnabys. Hit unfollow or mute. You are the gatekeeper of your mind. Don't let garbage breach your citadel. Day 2. Revaluation. Gratitude. Write down 3 ordinary things you possess: a hot meal, your eyesight, a good night's sleep. Imagine if you lost them forever tomorrow. How much would you pay to get them back? That is the true value of your current assets. Day 3. Absolute focus. Deep work. Turn off the Wi-Fi. Spend 2 hours doing one single task to perfection, like Pip cracking a nut. No multitasking. The snap of deep focus is the sound of freedom. Day 4. Voluntary discomfort. Take a cold shower, skip a meal, or sleep without a pillow. Marcus Aurelius advises, practice poverty so you need never fear it. When you are not afraid of discomfort, the wild boar cannot scare you anymore. Day 5. The view from above. Close your eyes. Imagine floating up, looking down on your city, then the earth. You will see the wild boars. Trends, dramas are just tiny specks. Why panic over dust? Day 6. The inner dialogue. Journaling. Before bed, ask yourself, did I act like a puppet today or like a free human? Be honest. Awareness is the first step of transformation. Day 7. Sympatia. Connection. Instead of competing with others, help someone else. When you help someone find their acorn, you realize your own stash isn't empty after all. Envy evaporates when compassion enters. If you are still here, comment "I am building" below to make a pact with yourself. Stop running, stay, and build your citadel. See you in the next moment.